The South African Health Products Regulatory Authority says it is aware of falsified Ozempic products currently being sold on the market and online. Ozempic is a Schedule 4 prescription medication authorized by SAHPRA only for the treatment of type 2 diabetes in adults. People are now using the drug for weight loss, which has led to a sudden surge in demand for Ozempic. This has resulted in a national shortage, posing a risk for diabetic patients across the country. To talk more on this, we are now joined via Teams by Deon Poovan, who is a senior manager for the Inspectorate and Regulatory Compliance at the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority. Deon, good morning. Thank you so much for making time for us. So what exactly is Ozempic?
So, good morning, Alden. Thank you for having me. So, Ozempic contains an active substance called semaglutide. And when you take semaglutide, it lowers your blood sugar levels in adults who have type 2 diabetes. And this helps with diet and exercise, where diet and exercise cannot control the blood sugar levels. Or if medication that you are taking can't control your blood sugar levels, a doctor will then prescribe something like Ozempic, which will help you with your diabetes. In South Africa, it is not registered for weight loss, and we don't have any other generics that are registered with SAHPRA that contain semaglutide.
Okay. So considering that it is a Schedule 4 prescription medication and in South Africa registered for type 2 diabetes, does it mean that a doctor can actually prescribe this medication to a patient for weight loss purposes?
Yes. So it's something that is called off-label use. So when a doctor decides, especially physicians, they would use a drug that SAHPRA has not registered an indication for or what it's used for. They may use it for another purpose. However, when it comes to off-label use, the doctor and the patient have to understand the risks, and they take on those risks because within South Africa, that drug is not registered for that indication, but doctors do prescribe it, and it is within profession.
Yeah. Okay, so what is it about the ingredients in this drug that actually contributes to weight loss?
So what the drug actually does is it makes the gut produce more of a glucagon type peptide, which the glucagon hormone, will then go to the pancreas and tell the pancreas to then make more insulin so that it can digest the food. But what the drug also does is it causes the feeling of fullness and it reduces your appetite. And that is where the weight loss effect comes in.
Okay. And do we know of any side effects of using Ozempic specifically for weight loss?
Yes, we do. But before I get to the side effects, I think it's important for people to know when you should not be using semaglutide at all. So if you are type 1 diabetic, if you have pancreatitis, which is inflammation of the pancreas, if you have diabetic eye diseases or thyroid concerns, you should not be using the semaglutide. We have frequent side effects that have been listed by the company who's marketing the semaglutide, which includes nausea and vomiting. And then we have less frequent side effects such as inflammation of the pancreas. There's quite a bit of information, and people who are not using Ozempic may be able to find additional information about side effects and adverse effects on the patient information leaflet and professional information that's available on SAHPRA's website or at your pharmacy.
Yeah. Could it lead to any chronic conditions, though?
So with pancreatitis, you need to, when it happens, it needs to be reported to your doctor. It's very important that you inform your doctor when you're having any sorts of side effects. I don't have the information to tell you whether or not it's going to be chronic, but we do know the side effects, and we do know that you have to report those as soon as you find any of them, even if it's side effects that you don't see on the patient information leaflet. It's important that your doctor knows, as well as the regulator, SAHPRA.
Mm-hmm. And what's known currently about the level of the shortages of Ozempic in the country?
Okay, so as the regulator, what we have been informed by the company that owns Ozempic, which is Novo Nordisk, that there are shortages within the country. Unfortunately, as the regulator, we aren't able to comment on the details surrounding the supply. What we do know is that there is a shortage, and this may be causing the influx of fake products into the market.
Yeah, and the risk that then lie ahead with this particular shortage, what are those?
So if people see a demand in the market, especially for off-label use, there would be somebody would try and then mitigate that supply gap. So then you start seeing people selling drugs, fake Ozempic or even unauthorized versions of semaglutide online to try and fill the gap that has been left by the shortage of Ozempic.
Yeah, and currently we don't know of any generic medication or version of Ozempic.
No, there's no generic version that has been registered in South Africa.
Okay, so for public members of the public who do come across some of these products online, is there anything that they can do? And also, I guess the one part is that on one part there is the Ozempic, which would be the authentic one that we are speaking about, but there's also the risk of finding falsified Ozempic.
Yes. So what's very important is that for the public to know is that SAHPRA manages the supply chain of products. So we don't only manage the authorization and registration of products by looking at the safety, quality and efficacy of it. We also control the supply chain from the manufacturer or the importer right through to the wholesaler, right through to the pharmacy of where you get your medication. So people will try and infiltrate that supply chain, but it is quite difficult to do that because we have pharmacists at every link of the supply chain who make sure that whatever comes into the facility leaves to the correct facility. So people will then try and do online and they will have like websites that are overseas or even local, trying to get falsified products into the market. So it's very important that when you buy medication, you buy it from a pharmacy or an authorized dispenser who has received that through the correct channels. That will help you to ensure that the product you get has been authorized by SAHPRA and comes from the correct supplier.
Yeah. Just a final one, Deon. Do we know whether this shortage as well as the demand for Ozempic has actually pushed up the price of the product or the drug?
So the price of Ozempic is controlled by national government through the single exit price. So companies, when they register products, they have to actually apply for a price, and those prices are regulated. So that is the price that the companies must sell it at. If they want to increase their price, they actually have to apply for an increase in price.
Thank you so much for your time. That is Deon Poovan, who is a Senior Manager for Inspectorate and Regulatory Compliance at the South African Health Products Regulatory Authority.